We said that in Python, we don't use data types. Python variables do not use data types. We just mention the name of the variable. So a variable is a symbolic name that stores a value in a memory. We said that in Python, variables are dynamically typed. That means that at the point in time in which I am giving Python a particular value, the data type of that value would be specified and kept. We also said that you create one simply by assigning number, a value, sorry. No need to declare a data type. We said that if you want to declare a variable in Python, there are certain things we should keep in mind. Number one, we always begin with a letter or an underscore. We never begin with a number. Number two, it may contain letters, numbers, or an underscore. We also said that the variables are case sensitive. That means that technically, if I type age with a capital letter A and I type age with a small letter a, they are totally different and they don't mean the same thing. We also said that if you are typing a variable name in Python, we have to be descriptive of what we are typing. Are we clear on all of these points from last week?
Yes, sir.
Then this week, we'll move on to talk about if statements, loops, and other control statements that we have in Python. We are going to talk about these things in Python. Mhm. Now, um, in Python, as we said last week, if I want to display, how do I make the writings bigger? I don't know how to make the writings bigger. It makes the whole thing bigger, but not the writings. One second, please. So we said that, for example, over here, if I have age is equal to input, enter your age. The input is how we bring data into our application. It is the input that allows us to introduce data into our application, to bring in data, to bring in information, to bring in knowledge. So the thing we type in as a string after the input is the display that the person will use to bring in the data. We also said that after the data has been brought in, we can utilize it. We also said last week that the data, when brought in, comes in as a string. Therefore, I can't use it unless I typecast it into the data type I want to use. In this case, the data type was an int. So if I leave it as age, I can't take a string and add it to a number. It's not possible. But the moment I typecast it, then I can use it to do what I want to do. Now, over here, let's start off today by learning about control flow statements. As programming is like everyday life, there comes a point where you want to change the flow of the data you are using. You want to change the direction of the data. You want to take your data from another direction or from another perspective. Control flow statements allows you to do that. The most common control flow statement is the if statement. Now I'll create a variable at the top over here called password. And I would say that the password is equal to 12345 6. So if I say password is equal to cyber 123 Then I would print out access control. Now, the structure of Python's if statement is very different from the C-based languages that are there. In Python, I will have the if keyword. So this is my if keyword. So in Python, if I want to write an if statement, I first of all require my if keyword. Then I require my condition that needs to be satisfied before the if statement is going to be implemented. After that, I bring my colon. After the colon, I will then go and bring in my action. But remember, my action must come after a tab. So I can't type my action over here. My action has to start from this point here. So here I would say, okay, I want to print something or I want to do something from printing. Python is very space conscious. A tab means something. A single space means something. A double space means something. If there is no need for that space, don't add the space. You can add spaces between text, but normally when it is on a line, don't add spaces which are not required. You would never see me do something like this. It is two spaces. It is only one space that is required. If there has to be a need for a tab, then you hit a tab. In normal programming languages, you know, if I was to write this, I would say if into brackets, then I'll put the condition over here, then I'll have the curly braces, and then I'll put in the action over here. Now, Python doesn't do any of these things. With Python, if I bring the if statement, the next thing that follows is my condition. So here I have my condition. I'm saying that if the password you have is the same as cyber123, then you have access and I should grant you access. So the dot you see over here is the curly braces over here. That means that anything in which I type under it with a tab is inside the if statement. That means that in here, if I come and say password is equal to nothing, that is still inside the if statement. If I come to the same line as the if statement and I type, let's say, password is equal to, let's say, this, then I am outside of the if statement. Positioning of items matter, especially in Python. I want to make that point very clear before we go forward. That means in your typing of Python, you must be very, very conscious of spaces and how the spaces are done. As I said, I can leave a space like this. It is allowed. But when the space is on the line, I must be conscious of what I am doing. I must be very conscious. In this case, let's run this application and see. So here, in order for me to be able to see access control, I'll make my password the same as this. So that when I click on this, it will tell me that I have full access. In this scenario, I know the password. So if I want a user to enter the password, then instead of me typing password is equal to this, I'll just say input. And then in the curly brackets, I'll say enter your password. And the moment in which I do this, and I click on this button here, I'll see over here that I have a message, enter your password, and the person will then enter his or her password. If the person enters the password cyber at 123, then I can tell the person he has full access control. Now, if the person doesn't type in the correct password, what do I do? If the password the person wants to type is not the correct password, then what do I do? What do I tell him? And that is where the else statement comes into play. The else statement provides an alternative to the if statement. That means that if here is evaluated, and remember, the condition will evaluate to true or false. So whatever that is there, is it true or is it false? If it is true, then it will come into this section here. If it is false, in this scenario, we do nothing. But once there is a scenario for us to do when it is false, then I can have my else statement. And over here, I want to print invalid. Now, let's note some things. It means that everything that would be after the space here is inside the if statement. Here we have the else. That means this is inside the else statement. Remember, blocks of code matter in Python, and the direction of the code matters, especially in Python. So where my code is situated matters. In this again, I can go and then say that, okay, I'm running the app again. Enter your password. So here I'll say my password is cyber123. I didn't add the at. So if I press here, I should see invalid. Let's see if we can make a more sophisticated program from this. So over here, I would say enter your password. And then I'll say retype password. And the same thing, input, enter your password again. Now, if the length of the person's password is greater or equal to 12, then we can tell the person that he has a strong password. Else, sorry, Python, remember there's no terminate at the end. We can tell the person he has a weak password. Now, if the password is strong, then we want to check if the password he has typed is equal to the retyped password. If they are the same, then we can say that print password is set. If they are not the same, then we can say that password is equal to an empty container, and then we'll print onto the person's screen password doesn't match. Now, after all that, we have this. If I click on the run button again, I'll get this. If the person types 12345 6 as the password, I'm supposed to see enter your password again. If the person types 12345 6, the passes match, but it is a weak password, so he can't continue. If I do it again, I type a correct password because my password has to be 12 letters. So I've done that. I type a password, it has to be 12 letters. I have done that. But for the last one, I'll change this to 3. So they don't match. But I have a weak password. Hey, then my password, what length did I give it? I said greater than or equal to 12. Isn't this 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, it's 11. Okay. So let's do it again and make it. The 12 is too much. Let me make it 10 because I'm tired. And let me do it again. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2. And then here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 3. So they don't match. My password is strong, but they don't what? Match. If I do it for the last time, having my password and everything matching, then I can see that my password is strong and they match. So with this layout in Python, I've just demonstrated that I can have an if statement inside another if statement. Also, in this if statement, everything in this block belongs to this if statement. Everything in this block here belongs to this if statement. Everything in this block here belongs to the else. If I don't want it to belong to the else, then I have to bring it here. That means that no matter what I'll do, the thing will always print password is not matching. The tab button would show me that everything is in line. In Python, the line of the code matters. Lining of the code matters. I am saying this repeatedly because I know some of you, and I know how some of you type where one thing will be here, the other thing will be somewhere else. In Python, the structure of how you write your code is also very important, else you get a lot of errors. At this point, is there any questions to be answered?
I have a question. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, you spoke about Python being case sensitive.
Mhm,
So please, you see online too, the retype password.
mhm.
Um, please, is that how you're supposed to? Because is it like this? The first letter will be in small caps and the others will be in big caps.
Oh no, in this case, I typed everything small letters. But if you want to make it camel case so that it's more readable, you can do that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
on the screen, you realize that the moment I made the line 2 camel case, the line
Mhm.
5, there is a line under it.
Yes.
They are spelled the same, but because of the P also not being capital, it means that what I've done there, they don't match, else it is what wrong. So if you want to
Okay.
do it camel case, you can do it camel case. But the thing
Okay.
is that everything in which you do has to be the same. One can be capital letter and one is small letter. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Are there any more questions, please?
And one question, please.
Mm-hmm.
Online eight.
Mm-hmm.
um After the condition, if password is equal to retype, print password is set, else password equals to, then you brought the two um the 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 quotation.
Mm-hmm.
Please, I don't understand the line 8. Can you please
Okay. So
elaborate?
at the beginning
Mhm.
of your code, you said that password is equal to whatever the person has typed. And then at line 2, you said he should retype his password and you saved it in a location called retype password. Now, at line 3, I'm checking if the length of the password is bigger than or equal to 10. That means that whatever you have typed, I'm going to count each of them and make sure that they are bigger than 10. If they are not bigger than 10, then you have a weak password, so you can't continue. Now, if you go to line 5, I am checking if the first password you typed and the second password you typed are the same. If they are the same, then I'll just show on your screen password is set, and then I'll stop over there. Now, in line 7, I am going to tell you that the password you have typed doesn't match. Now, before I tell you that your password you have typed doesn't match, whatever password you have typed, I have to clear it. Because if I leave it there, it means that you have a password. So I have to clear it. So me typing in line 8, password is equal to double quote. I'm telling the computer that the password is equal to nothing. Note that if I type the double quote and I do space here, it means that the password is equal to space. With the double quotes together, it means that the password is equal to nothing. So that you will not be able to log in with the bad password you have created. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Now, in this world, there's not every case in which you would have a scenario whereby, um, like, it is not every scenario that would be in this world whereby you would be able to um, go through everything. What I mean is, you don't always have the scenario where you have just an if statement and an else. Sometimes you have an if statement, another statement to evaluate, another statement to evaluate, another statement to evaluate before you would come and have your else statement. So, how do we implement multiple if statements or multiple conditions in Python? In Python, when you have a scenario where you have multiple conditions for you to satisfy, for example, if I say that the score of a student is equal to, let's say, 65. Now, if said student had a score which is greater than or equal to 80, then the said student will have a grade which is equivalent to an A. But here in other programming languages, you would say else if. There is nothing like else if in Python. In Python, it is elif. The score of the student is greater than or equal to 50. Then, remember, with the colon, I'll have a grade which is equivalent to B. Else, if the student has anything else, then we'll give him a grade of F. So that here I can come and say print grade. Now, if I run this application, of course, the student is going to get a B because B is not bigger than 80. 65 is not bigger than 80, but 65 is bigger than 50, so he has a B. My question to you guys, what happens if I put the print in this location? How? Helen, what will I get if I put the print in the location that if I run this in this state, what will appear? Helen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. It will just print the grade F.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
So let's run it. If it doesn't print the grade F, then we give you -2. So let's run it. And it gives nothing. So it means Helen has -2. And why does he have -2? Because the computer goes here. If 65 is greater than 80, it is not. So it will come here. Is 65 greater than 50? It is. So the person will still get a grade B. But the computer will never come to else because we are in grade B. So now the computer has finished running. And because you said the print is inside the else, it means that it cannot read, hence nothing will be read. If the print leaves this section here and comes here, then it means that the else only has this. So when I click on this, I still get a grade of B. Location in Python matters. And where a thing is located gives different meaning in Python. In Python, there are other forms of control statements too. And if I want to write this program so that information can be taken from a user, I can. That means that at this juncture, I just have to bring in input. And then over here, I'll tell the individual to enter the score to be used. Now, if I use this application as it is, will I get an error or won't I get an error? Cyril,
Sir, please, no error.
I will get an error.
No, sir.
I'm not telling you, I'm telling you that you get an error. For example, if I run it, see, if I run it and I put this here and I press, I've gotten an error. So I'll get an error.
Sir,
Why
please,
am
yes.
I getting an error?
Yes.
So
you now convert the input to
I did not convert
into integer.
an integer. Remember, the input here is a string. Because I'll be doing mathematical computations, I must use it as an integer. Hence, over here, I will have int into brackets and put this in all in the integer. What this means is that I'm telling the computer that whatever you get over here, convert it into an integer. So when I click on this button here and I put in the value again and I press, I don't get any errors again because the computer has converted the values into an integer. Everything in which we learn, everything in which I talk about is important. And very soon we'll start combining these things to create bigger and better applications. But if you don't understand the small things, it gets harder very quickly. And it is easy. And before we come every week, you must practice. There is There is no luxury on it. Anyway, are there any questions? Then I'll move on to the next thing.
Sir,
Yes, Miss
sir.
Amanda. Yes.
So the first line, right? You see that because of the inputs we wanted to work with numbers, right? So we introduced the int, okay. If you want to work with, let's say, decimals, right? In place of the, what do you introduce there?
Is that okay?
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Python, are there any more questions, please? Python introduces us to a lot of loop statements. Loop statements are also control statements, and they allow us to control how our application is going to behave and run. Now,
So I have a question, please.
yes,
Sorry. Please, you said the columns are like curly braces. So
the
like
tab,
in line two,
yes,
if score is greater than or equal to 80, the columns, the column you put at the 80, you said they are like the curly braces.
yeah.
So I'm looking at this form, like you've opened one here,
There's
you
no
open another
close.
here, or it doesn't close, like, okay.
No, it doesn't close. That is why everything I put over here is inside the if statement. The moment the thing comes here, it is not in the if statement anymore. Do you understand?
Okay.
That means you determine when the if block stops. So there are loop statements in Python. If I want to write a loop statement in Python, I am faced with certain examples. The first example I can have is me using a for statement. So I can have yeah, so I can have for into bracket. I can have for into bracket. Then, oh, sorry, no brackets. I'm sorry. I was thinking of nowadays I'm writing plenty languages, so I'm thinking of all of them at the same time. So you can have for the variable in, and then a particular sequence in which you have. And then you have your block statements that you want to write. So let's have an example of what I am saying. Over here, I'm going to start with this. For P in, and then this is the sequence 22, 80, 40, 4, 4, 3, colon, and then in here, I'll say print P. So if I run this, I'll have this. I have 22, 80, 443. What this structure is telling us is that if you take this sequence, take each individual item out. Each individual you take, go and call it P. So it means that when this goes for the first time, P is 22. For the second time, P is 80. For the third time, P is 443. Does that make sense? I can then go on to say this, that, okay, if I have port numbers and they are port 22, 80, 443, for a particular port in ports, print using print format, scan port, and then over here, I'll put in port. So if I run this, it's basically doing the same thing that the first one did, but it allows me to scan through a particular list of items in which I have, or a particular array. So in this case, 22 becomes port, then I run it, then 80 becomes port, then I run it, then 443 becomes port, then I run it too. Over here, I'm using print format. So print format allows you to write what you are writing, but the variables, you have to put them in curly brackets and they'll position it how you have put it in. This is one way of me using the for statement. In this case, I'm using the for statement when I have a sequence of things in a particular array or list item. This is one way. What if I want to run the array when I do, what if I want to run the loop when I don't have a particular list of items? If I don't have a list of items, how will I then be able to run my array? I would run my array by specifying the range in which I want to run the array with. Let's say I tell you that run an array 5 times. So if you have to run an array for 5 times, I would use the for keyword. Then each of the 5 times, I have to refer them as something. In this case, I'll call them attempt. And then I have my in keyword. Then over here, I need to tell the computer the range in which I want to use, and it will start from 1 and end at 1 before 6. So it means I'll be doing it 5 times. Note, if I put 5 over there, then it means it will do it 1 before what I see over there, so it will do it 4 times. In this case, I want to do it 5 times, so it is from 1 to 1 before 6, which is what? 5 times. Then after that, I'll tell the computer to print out using print format my attempt, and then I can put the variable I want to print in here. So if I run this again, I'll see attempt 1. So over here to do the first attempt, then the second attempt, then the third attempt, then the fourth attempt, then the fifth attempt. There will be no sit attempt because it stops one before the thing over there. Again, if I change this from this to 5, then it means here I'll only see 4 attempts. Keep that in mind. So if I wanted to do 10 of these, then I'll have to put 11 over here and run. Then I'll see 10 of these being shown over here. So just for understanding's sake, the format of the range is like this. We have range, the starting point, the stopping point, and the number of steps. Over here, if I brought another comma and put 2 over here and I run this, then I will have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. If I put 2 over here and I run this, then I'll have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So range is able to take the starting point, the stopping point, and the number of what? Steps. Is that okay?
I have a question, please.
Sure.
Please, you said something when we Cyril answered a question when you asked the previous question in line 2. Since we are dealing with numbers here, are we not supposed to put the int in front of the attempt because in
The
line
range
2?
over here is already in integers. Remember, if I put a quote over here, then it means that these things here are strings. Do you understand? Or
Okay.
in this, but the fact that there are no quotes over there means that they are integers. You see, one thing in which you have to learn right now is that most of the programming languages you learned till this point are C-based languages. That means for most of them, you have to declare a variable, do integer. Python is a loose language, which means, and it is a dynamically assigned language. That means until you have to define a particular data type, you don't, the computer just assumes the data type for you. So the way you type it is the way the computer will see it. In this case, because there's no quotes there, it is an integer. Exactly. So I could have gone 2.7 and here should be 2.2 or something like that. It's an integer. So the range is just for the range. Are we okay? They are seen as integers. I can also use a loop to pick information from a dictionary. And yes, in Python, there is a data structure called dictionary. For example, all right. So what I mean is this. Over here, I have a dictionary. So I have users. Normally, a dictionary will specify a particular rule and who plays that rule, or a particular thing and the value. So ID value, ID value. So it means Alice is an analyst, comma, Bob is an admin, comma, Eve is a guest. Okay, so if I want to run a loop with this, how can I run a loop with this and make it meaningful to what I want to do? I can say for name, comma, role. So over here, this is the name and this is the role of the individual. all of this can be found in users. And when you go to users, you are going to pick items from users. So this items allows you to pick this. You can see that there after this, there is a comma, this, there is a comma, this, there is a comma. That means all of this is seen as one. All of this is seen as one. All of this is seen as one. So when I pick it, I'm going to put Alice as a name and this as row. And then I'll tell Python that I want to print it out using the print format. And I'm going to tell it that user should be equal to the name. And then you should put the word has over here so that row should be given to row. So that when I run this thing here, I would see user Alice has a role of analyst, user Bob has a role of admin, user Eve has a role of a guest. A guest. So Python will allow you to go through a dictionary or a defined dictionary where you have an ID and a value, an ID and a value, and then it will help you look through that quite easily. So you have a key value, key value, key value. You can specify your key, you can specify your value, and Python will go through whatever listing which you have and provide values to them, helping you to automate most of your processes and then do mapping as you'd like. You can do a loop in another loop. For example, if I have an IP list, and these are things in which you as cybersecurity engineers would be doing using Python. So I have an IP list here. So 192.168.1.5. And then over here, I have 192.168.1.6. So this is my IP list. I have a list of ports that are available on my computer. So over here, I have port 22 and I have port 80 running, probably a web server or something. Over here, I can say for IP in IP list. So it means that I'm grabbing this IP and I'm grabbing this IP. So this will run 2 times. But in here, I'll have another 4 ports in ports. I'll run 2 times here too. I want you to print out using format printing, scanning. I'm scanning the IP and of this port. And when I run this, I'll see that I'll have scanning port this 22, scanning port this 80, scanning port this 22, scanning port this 80. It will allow me to automate the scanning processes of the port. If you have to protect an organization, you want to know which port has an intruder, which port should be off when it is on, which port is being used by what IP, so on and so forth. You can use this method to scan it, but most importantly for us, we can see that we can use a loop in another loop. And how do I know that this loop is in this loop? Because there is a tab here, there is a tab here. Remember, Python, the tabs matter. If something is tabbed, it means it is inside something. Is that okay? Are there any questions on this, please? There is another kind of a loop too, and that loop has to be a while loop. In Python, there is nothing like a do-while loop. We only have a for loop and a while loop. So what is the structure of a while loop in Python? So in Python, if I have a while loop, then my structure is this. I have my while keyword, I have the condition that needs to be satisfied, then after that, I have the block of statements that have to be run. And remember, because it is a while loop, I have to have a statement in there that would force my loop to go to false, because when you are dealing with a while loop, technically you don't know when you will end. When you have a for loop, you know your starting point and your ending point. But with a while loop, you want to do something whilst a particular condition is being satisfied. So the condition that will allow you to stop your while loop must be placed within the while loop to help you to stop it. Let's see some examples of a while loop. Now, let's say that I want somebody to type in their password. And for cybersecurity reasons, I want it so that if you type your password 3 times and your password is wrong 3 times, then we will block you and your account so that our system would be secure. We will know that nobody is trying to steal someone's money. So in here, I'm going to start off by saying that the number of attempts in which a person can make is equal to 0. I'm also going to say that the maximum number of attempts that a person can make is equal to 3. I'm also going to say that while the attempts a person is making is less than the maximum attempts in which someone can make, then password should be equal to input in here, enter password. So over here, I've just asked the person to enter his password. Now, if the password he entered is not equal to cyber at 123, then we are going to print to the person that is if it is equal, we are going to print to the person that access has been granted. And then we are going to break. Now, the break statement means that the loop that you are in, leave it. Leave the loop. Wonderful. Now, if it is not the case, then we bring an else. So here, immediately, you see that it means that all these two statements, the else statement is you are going for here, then you come to the else. So you are in the else now. Else, we are going to print out that you have typed the wrong password, full stop, and your attempts have been added, or 1 has been added to your number of attempts. That means that previously you had 0, but now you have 1, then you have 2, then you have 3, then we will stop you. I will save and I will click on run. So enter your password 123456. Wrong password. Enter your password 123456. Enter your password that. Wrong password and then that. Now, Python has a very lovely thing that it does with its while statements. That is, its while statements has an else statement. That means for every while statement, if you like, you can add an else statement to the while statement, whereby if the condition here becomes false, the else statement is triggered. So in this case, I want to put in a while statement, an else statement for my while statement. That says that too many failed attempts, full stop, your account is locked. Full stop. This is wonderful. So if I run this again, I'll attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3, and at attempt 3, it will go to the else statement because I have a false there and tell me that my account has been what? Locked. Now, if I run this again, and let's say for the first time I forget my password, but the second time I enter my correct password, then it tells me that access has been granted. And the break statement allows me to leave the entire while loop so that this will never go to false. And then this message here will never be shown. Understanding the rules and combining the rules allows you to do very interesting things when it comes to programming. And the key word in which we are using this semester is practice, because most of the things we are about to do, especially with this course being Python for cybersecurity, means that we are going to slowly move into using the Python and the system itself to do some checks and some checking and some fetching and all of those things. You must learn the basics and master the basics quickly. And the mastery doesn't come from reading books, it comes from doing. The more you do, the better you become. Today, our mission was to learn about control statements. In learning about control statements, we are learning how we can affect the control of particular statements. Let's have some more examples and see how we can utilize those examples. Let's say that I am an administrator. I want to check and monitor if my server for my web server is running. So I want to periodically check if my web server is running. Okay, I want to check if my web server is running. So I am going to do some few things. And the first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to import time. Now, me importing time is me telling Python that there is a package on time. Go and bring it for me. I'm going to also say that service app should be equal to service underscore app should be equal to false. After that, I'm going to say that while not service app. That means that whilst the service app is, in this case, the service app is false. So not will make service app true. So here I'm saying while true. If service app moves to true, then here would be true. This would be false. Then here would stop running. So whilst my service app is not up, it is false, then here would make it true so that this will continue running. I want to continue checking if my server has come on or off. So in here, I would say checking if server is up. Then I'll say time dot sleep 5. That means that it would wait 5 seconds. And during those 5 seconds, it would go and check if my server is running. And in here, I would write a function that would go and do the checking of my server status. And then over here, I'll print out server is running. So if my server goes down, I can run this app so that this app would be checking if the server has come on. If it has come on, then this will show that it has come. This here, I would write it. I will have to go and write a function that will go and do the checking and everything. But at the end of the day, this would return back if it is true or false. If it returns back that it is false, here will be false. This will not return it into true. That would be while true. Then this will continue running until this is true. If here is true, then this will turn it into false. Then this will be displayed. As a cybersecurity expert, these are the things which are dependent and demanded of you. So we will see how we can write the function to ping and check if our server is running or not. We must master our craft, and we must treat our craft very well. Are there any questions on control flow statements today? Next week, for the first hour, you would have a very short test. The test will test you on variables, control flow statements. Please prepare before you come. The test next week will start at 9 o'clock and end at 10 o'clock. So be ready, and it will be on your Moodle platform. So make sure you are on your Moodle platform, because the moment the time is 9 o'clock, the test will start, and at 10 o'clock, the test will stop. So you have between that time to do it and submit it on the Moodle platform. As always, I'll make the video for the class available to you so that if you want to go through what we have done today again on your own time and practice it, you can, and master it before we come next week. In your class group by Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll put a selection of learning materials there and the course outline for you to evaluate and know what we'll be doing week by week. If there are no questions, thank you for coming. We'll meet again next week.